I'm Belle. I'm speaking to you from Scott Base on Ross Island in Antarctica, where it's currently an icy cold minus 32 degrees. Just kidding! I'm actually over here in Christchurch, New Zealand. But I do need to talk to you about Antarctica and the impact that climate change is having on this incredible place.
Antarctica, land of snow and ice. An unforgiving environment of pristine natural beauty, breathtaking landscapes, and unique wildlife. Separated from the rest of the world by its isolation and extreme conditions. Antarctica is the coldest, driest, and windiest continent on Earth. But under this brutal exterior lies a delicate ecosystem that needs to be protected.
Antarctica is a place that has to be experienced to be described. It's just this incredible area where time and space work quite differently to anywhere else on the planet. It's absolutely imprinted in my mind as being the most remarkable place to spend time in.
Antarctica does not belong to us. It does belong to the penguins and the seals and the whales. So to be a guest in their environment was a huge privilege and something which will be with me until the day I am no longer alive.
Antarctica's marine environment is the most varied and rich ecosystem on the planet, teeming with huge numbers of species that range from microscopic plankton to the largest whales on Earth. More than 200 species call Antarctica their home. But perhaps the most recognizable of its inhabitants are its penguins. There are 7 species of penguins who live in the Antarctic region. The Adelie, King, Chinstrap, Emperor, Gentoo, Macaroni, and Rockhopper. 2 of these, the Emperor and the Adelie, live exclusively in Antarctica.
I remember the very first time walking very quietly and slowly up to the colony, and there was this little huddle of downy, fluffy, gray chicks kind of just all hanging out together, and they didn't pay attention to us and had no idea that we were there, but being able to just sit there and watch them be an animal in their habitat and, in the place where they have evolved and adapted to live was a really privileged experience and a very humbling experience.
The chicks were 14 weeks old when I was down there on my first trip, and even they were so curious. So, for example, there were some of the guests on board the ship that put GoPros in snow, and the chicks would go up and have a peek at them as if they were going, "Oh, what do we have here?" Just they'd stand there and look at you and size you up and kind of go, "Oh, yes, here's more tourists," and away they'd potter.
Unfortunately, the penguins' way of life in Antarctica is at risk. Like many countries around the world, Antarctica is being affected by climate change.
The scientists are now predicting that emperor penguins might be extinct by the end of this century, and that just really breaks my heart. And that is because the sea ice that they have been measuring for about the last 40 years, the last few winters, the sea ice has been the thinnest that it has been since the measurements began. The consequences of that is that when December rolls around, and by that time the emperor penguin chicks have reached almost the height of their adults, they are losing their fluffy down, they're growing their adult feathers and become waterproof. But if the sea ice is breaking up too early, then the chicks unfortunately are drowning. So the area that we call West Antarctica Specifically in the Bellinghausen Sea area, there has been no successful raising of chicks for the last 2 seasons.
Antarctica's unique biology has adapted over millions of years to its extreme conditions. It is now facing significant threats from warming temperatures, melting ice, and pollution, which are causing rapid changes to its landscape and ecosystems.
The threat of climate change is very real. The melting sea ice is not only impacting the penguin chicks, it is affecting the entire marine food chain in Antarctica.
Algae that lives on the bottom of the sea ice feeds the krill, which in turn feed the penguins, who provide food for the larger sea mammals like seals and orcas. As the sea ice melts, the algae that forms the base of the food chain is disappearing. This means there is no food for the krill, which will start to die off, removing a vital food source for the penguins and the larger marine mammals. It is quite possible that the entire biosystem will collapse by 2050 if left unchecked. The impact of the sea ice melting in Antarctica will also affect us here in New Zealand and around the world.
Antarctica is the Earth's cooling system. It's like our refrigerator. And the reason for that is it's a gigantic chunk of ice, and all of the water that is around Antarctica at some point in the future will go somewhere else. And so if that water starts to warm up, it's going to have a negative impact on the oceans around the world.
That ice, if it were to melt, would raise sea levels around the world by 60 metres, which would be quite horrendous as well.
The biggest threat to our environment is the belief that someone else will save it. So what can we do? We must take matters into our own hands. As the next generation, we can't afford to stand back and watch.
The one thing I wish that I hope that all young people know is that your voice really, really matters. Speaking up, having an opinion, being brave about having those opinions. I think that I really want everyone to know that your opinions make a difference, and every little thing that you can do makes a difference as well.
So I have a little whakatauki, a Māori saying that goes, mā te wā ka aomori te pahatu ina matarehu, which translates to, over time, small grains polish the stone. The small things that we do over a long period of time are going to make a difference. So 3 actionable steps that I talk to groups that I spend time with are, number 1, just trying to cut down our carbon emissions by biking more, by walking more, rather than using vehicles that have a higher carbon emission. Looking after our resources, just trying to take care of our belongings so that we're not constantly purchasing new things and buying things that we don't actually need, that require a lot of resources to actually manufacture them. And thirdly, just by growing things, by growing either gardens or planting trees, anything we plant, any plants are a great carbon soak. So they will soak some of that carbon dioxide out of the air. And so those 3 things are easy, actionable steps that will help Antarctica in the long run.
You can also help by recycling or buying reusable items, such as multi-use bags. You can also conserve energy and water by turning off the light switches or taps when you are not using them.
There is a window of opportunity for society as a whole to limit our carbon dioxide emissions, but that window of opportunity is closing. So there is a little window where the world can unite and act, but it's becoming more and more desperate as time goes on.
So I want to leave you with a message of hope, and that hope is the idea of, over time, small grains polish the stone, that all of us can do small things over our lifetime that will make sure that Antarctica remains in the pristine state that it is, and in doing so, that will then provide everyone here on planet Earth with the wherewithal to go ahead with their lives as healthy, happy citizens, which is, of course, what we all want for each other as we continue our journey on this planet.
Antarctica keeps our world afloat. Its ice, ocean, and ecosystems play a critical role in regulating our global climate that supports life worldwide. We need to take action to reduce the impact of climate change before it reaches breaking point.
Antarctica is a really special place.
It is home to incredible wildlife.
Antarctica affects the rest of the planet.
That is why we need to save it.